that was outside of a small region, what would you do? Well, a worldwide advertising campaign at that time cost literally tens if not hundreds of millions of dollars. When Ford wants to go across and sell something, to another country, it was probably a 7-year process. The Internet's changed that. Now, businesses can reach customers on a global scale instantly. A country like China, which is a vast producer of much of the world's goods, now has the ability to touch customers across the entire world. And that's had a profound effect on China and the world in general. 10 years ago, if you had a phone, it was just a phone. You would take it. You could dial calls, that was it. Now a phone is a gateway to the entire information of the world. It is more than just a phone. This is the Nexus S that was announced today. It has eyes in the sense that it's got a camera. So you can take videos, you can look at things. It's got ears in the way of a microphone. It's got GPS, it knows where you are. It has a screen so it can show you things. It's got wireless connectivity so it can get to things. It's got chips that allow you to make transactions on it with different things. There are an amazing number of things. It's got a motion sensor. It's got a compass. It knows what direction I'm facing. This is the device that has access to your entire world now. Not just your friends, not just in calls, but the entire world is at your fingertips now. And that's changed considerably over just the last few years. Applications, just a few years ago, were things that you bought in stores. They were shrink-wrapped packages that you would walk up to and pull out and take to a counter, and you'd open up the packaging and there'd be a small disk. Now applications are all delivered over the Internet. You rarely, if ever, buy anything, from the store. If I want an application, I can download it right now. I don't have to wait. Many of the applications that we use every day are actually delivered on the Internet using HTML5 and other JavaScript and other technologies. 10 years ago, if I came to a new city, which I do often, and needed to find out where my hotel was, I would buy a map. Now no one buys a map. My phone has everything. It has the entire world map on it. It can connect and download the maps exactly as I see them. If I need to find a hotel, if I need to find a restaurant, it's all here, and it's all accessible. 10 years ago, if I didn't speak the language, I was at a loss. There was no way that I would need to spend years learning a language. And now it's becoming possible for anybody to actually be able to understand and potentially speak languages. Well, what happened? I'd say 15 years ago, I thought, because of the way technology was improving, that all the world's information could be put on this device. That all the maps of the world could be put on this device. Everything that I needed could be put on this device because the disk technology was getting so good and the CPU technology was getting so good that I'd never need to connect anything. I would have everything I needed. And that's not changed. Instead of everything being on this device, we now are building huge data centers that have more storage, capacity, networking than the world has ever seen. And the reason is this device is only capable of lots of things, but it's not capable of doing the really hard problems, like accessing the whole Internet, or having all the world's maps, or doing all the world's translation. For that thing, a simple thing that you do on your desktop or on your phone is actually translated into actions of thousands of computers. Even a simple search of 2 words triggers thousands of computers on your behalf to look across the entire information of the globe and to come back with the answer which is the best answer that we can possibly provide you for a particular query. When you do translation, if you want to translate something, what you type or what you say in this phone basically needs to go to a data center where thousands of computers try to figure out the absolute best translation it can for some piece of data. And it returns that to you on the phone. It would take a phone with its computational capabilities probably a month and probably a huge stack of batteries to basically accomplish that same thing. The world is moving to a cloud-based model because the cloud has enough storage and computation to solve real and interesting and hard problems. These data centers that need to be built have more computational power than the world's ever seen. They have the best networks because how fast you can transmit data among computers is actually a really important part of grouping computers to do a single task. Now the list of applications that are cloud-based at Google is growing substantially. If I walk through the list, you'll start to see just how much information needs to be in place for us to do even daily tasks. We obviously have the web, and so indexing the entire web with billions of pages is an important part of what we do at Google and what other companies do as well. We need all the world's images because many of the things that people ask for are images. It's not just, it's not just websites and text. They want images as well. Videos. More and more videos contain the most interesting and the most appropriate information for a particular query. I had an example the other day where I wanted to learn how to rivet. And the place I went was YouTube because it was very easy for me to type in riveting and see a video of how to rivet rather than an instruction sheet. And more the answers to queries are going to come from video sources. They're not just going to come from text as we know it. Obviously, news is a huge source of information. And that's now available on the web. So every device can get at the most recent news. Maps. So all the maps of the world. I mean, one of the things that we're very proud of at Google is trying to build tools to allow people to map regions that have never had maps before. It's a huge undertaking, probably the largest undertaking of anyone has tried to do in many places around the globe to build tools so you can take satellite imagery and you can build your own map of your community. And that gets uploaded, and now the entire world has access to the maps that you built. That became really important in the disaster in Haiti. The maps that were used were often maps that were designed by people using satellite data and our tools to build the maps that were used in the disaster relief. But it's more than just maps. Satellite imagery. Taking all the satellite imagery, which used to be available only to governments, and now making it available to anyone. Street view. Trying to drive cars and actually find what the storefronts look like so that you can get a piece of information that you never had before. Local information, local businesses. Local businesses used to only have one method to get to people, which was in our country, it was the Yellow Pages. Now any business can get access to a huge number of users using the internet. Enterprise. Before, the only way that you would, if you were starting a new company, the way that you would do it is the first thing you would do when you start a company is build an IT department. And the IT department would be there to build your servers that you need to put in place for things like mail. Now no one would do that, right? Almost all new companies use the internet and use internet-based mail like Gmail and other things to build their business. Because those people they don't have to hire become the engineers and the salespeople to build great companies. One of the pieces of information that's not been available on the internet and that we've taken on the challenge of doing is books. So books contain much of the world's recorded information, but that's not accessible from the internet, which means it's not accessible for a wide number of people across the globe. We've taken on the challenge of digitizing, many of the world's books. We now have millions and millions of books that we've digitized, and those now become available to people through the internet. Products and product search. More often when you're looking at the internet, you're trying to find information about a product. And products have special characteristics, like there are competing products and there are reviews. And it's up to us as a company to try to provide the information that users need to be able to have reasonable approaches at trying to find the right products. Social is an area that I feel we're behind, but it's going to become more and more important to have social aspects brought into every piece of what you do, because what your friends believe is a very important part of what you believe. Years ago, search used to be a passive device. In other words, we'd have maybe 30 days ago, we would have created an index of the world, and if you wanted to search for 30-day-old information, you would do it using the internet. Or you would do it using Google. But over time, we realized that people need information right away. They can't wait 30 days. And we narrowed that down to 15 days, and we narrowed that down to 10 days, and then 5 days. And now the newest piece of information in a Google index is only minutes old, because it's really important to get information now rather than information from yesterday or a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Email, calendar, docs, all these things are information that people use every day. Advertising is a very important source of information for us. If you're trying to buy something on the internet, advertising is just not a nice to have. It's not just a way to make money. It's a way to provide users with the information they really need on something to buy. And it's a very important part of what we do. We spend as much time and as much effort on the quality of our advertising as we do the quality of our search, because the two are interlinked. What's also changing right now is that the internet is available from any device. So for a while it was the PC where you could get to the internet. And then it was the cell phone that you can get to the internet. In more recent announcements, the television can get you to the internet. And obviously with things like the iPad, it's also tablets that will get you to the internet. So every possible way now, it's now possible to get to the internet. And Google's playing a role in every one of these. We're trying very hard to basically make technology available to move across devices, so that you're not stuck on a single device, that when you're on a device, you'll be able to reach any of the other devices. What's next? We've obviously done a lot of interesting things, and we continue to do interesting things, but let me just show a few things that we're trying to look forward. Search is an interesting place for us because search is the combination of many of our products. One of the things that we've done recently is launch a project called Caffeine, and that's to update all documents as fast as possible, so that we can have a 70% fresher index. So the idea there is, rather than wait to update our index, let's see how fast we can get the best documents into it. And Caffeine was an order of magnitude improvement in how fresh our index could be. Search is becoming more interactive, and you'll see a demo in a second on that. It's no longer just 10 links. It started out as 10 links, but then it became 10 links, and then it became images, and then it became videos, and then it became music, and then it became all this other stuff. But also it's not just static. The future of search will be dynamic, and we'll give you an example of that later today.